So, welcome to the Song Lab 101. As it says here, we're here to experiment and, of course, give my point of view about music, harmony, and pop music. The second thing is that if there are songs out there that people think, oh, it's too close to another song, can you please analyze this? I will do that and then give you my 2 cents to think why I think the song is okay or why I don't think the song is legit. Uh, but today we're going to talk about pop harmony in the key of C. The key of C on a piano is this key right here, or this key, or this. Any key that is right here is called a C. And going from C to C, in a C major scale, we play only the white keys. Now, we would think, okay, that's easy. It is easy. What's even easier is that we can write a song with only the white keys here. So the first chord you're going to learn today is the C major chord. So we're going to bring up a small keyboard here. So have a look at down below inside the blue screen here. That's a C. And sit down near your piano. Have a look at that little screen there. And I'm going to teach you the C major chord. The C major chord happens with the first note, the third note, and the fifth note in the scale. That's what we call 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Octave. The eighth note is usually the entire scale in most cases. But we can also talk with half notes. And then we have suddenly 12 notes to play with. But to make it very easy today, we're just talking about the white keys and the location from those keys from each other. But when we're going to talk about the keys, distant cousin, the minor keys, I will talk about the half steps. But for right now, let's have a look at the major key. So place your thumb on the C, place your middle finger on the E, and then your pinky on the G. C is the root, E is the third, and G is the fifth. This is a C chord. Now, the brilliance of the piano or any keyboard is that you can shift the same keys over and over again in two different versions. So I call this the first inversion. And if I go up to the E, second note, and then play the G on top, and then I put the C on the top, I call this the third inversion because we start on the third note. So 1, 2, 3, third, with the fifth and the 1 on top. So it will be 3, 5, 1. And then we have the fifth inversion, which means if you start on G, the C will become in the middle and the E will be on top. But all of these notes, if you look here, are C, E, G, C, E, G, C, E, G. All right? All of these is a C major chord. When I was a kid learning to play piano, I was struggling. I always played always the ground octave because it was easiest that way, but it doesn't mean it sounds the best. Now, in the key of C major, we have two other happy chords, and they're found on the fourth and fifth note in the scale. So if C is the 1, D is the second, E is the third, fourth note is the F. That means we're going to have a F major chord starting from F. If we call that the 1, the third position will be A, and of course the fifth position will be C. And this is the F major key. And again, we have the inversion. Instead of starting with the F, we can start on the A, C, F on top. Or we can start with a C, with the F in the middle, and the A on the top. So we have our three inversions here. Easy so far. We'll only be using the white keys. And then the last chord of the major family inside the C major is the G major chord, which is the fifth. So 1, 4, 5th. And it sounds like this. And again, it itself has its inversions. So if G, let's start with a B, and then we start on the D. And all of these is the same chord. So now we've taken care of the easy part. With these three chords, we could basically write a pop song. But that's just half the course. We do have minor chords that actually works in major songs, and that's just to bring some kind of extra tension, make the song a little bit more exciting, or if it's a melancholy song, then yeah, the minor chords are necessary, and vice versa. Those minor chords will still need some happy chords if necessary with these relationships. And if we're talking about the song in C and C major, we will find that every note, the F and the G major chord, have their little cousin, their sad cousin, 3 half steps down. So if in the C, like a board game, we count 1, 2, 3. We're in A. A minor. But it's the same idea. It's 1, 3, 5. And again, we can switch that around with starting with the C, the third position, and E on the top. On the beginning with a C on top, and then we're back at the first position. This is A minor. So that is C major's sad little cousin. Same thing about F major. We have its little cousin. 1, 2, 3. So E, E flat, D. We have the D minor. Same thing goes for the G major. And we count 1, 2, 3. Oh, E minor. Now, all of a sudden, we have 3 more chords to play with. And all of these chords are very common in pop harmony. So right now, we're going to have a look at a little thingy I've been writing. It's nothing serious. But we have a chord structure. And we start with a C, and we go to the F, and now we have a G7. Now, as I say, C, F. Now, the G by itself can work if we would be in the G major scale, which we aren't. But since we're in the C major scale, we would call this a very dominant chord. And we would like to color it with the 7th note. So if we look at the G here, and I wrote G7. So 1, 3, 5, 7, 6, 7. And color gives the song like attention. It needs to go back somewhere. In this case, the G7 will go back to C. We have a resolution there. That's very, very common in pop music. And again, it goes back to C. And then we repeat C, F, G7, C. And then we come into A minor, E minor, F major, G. Here it works perfectly because it's not part of the C major right now. And then we repeat again, A minor, E minor, F. And on the last turn, I write a G7 because I want to go back to C. In this case, I'm going back to a C major 7. We are now moving around in the chorus. And as you can see, I'm changing chords here every bar, but on the chorus I decide I'm going to change the chords every second bar. Then it can give this feeling of flight. It can give the feeling of openness, where we're finally somewhere we can space out a little bit. So I have a C major 7. Again, it's the C. And like with the G7, I'm bringing colors. A major 7. If it's just a C7, it would sound like this. But in this case, C major 7 has the kind of romantic touch to it. And it sounds very nice. And then I go to F. Here again, D minor 7. D minor 7 on top there. And then G7. And here again, when I'm playing the piano, I don't usually use the ground octaves, because when I hear people playing with the ground octaves or the first position, it's very, this is what kids play. But if we're adults, we would like to, I try to keep my chords inside the area very, very nice and tight. Because once you have a bass player, you don't need to play every or all over the keyboard. You just try to find the colors that fits you. So in this case, D minor 7, D minor 7. And then back to G7. And one more time, we have a C major 7, an F, D minor 7, and back to the G7. To illustrate this, I have written already the chord progression, and we're going to check it out. There we go again. So as you can see, it's like very, very basic. This is not a masterpiece whatsoever. I'm not claiming to be the most prominent songwriter, but I do write big songs, big arrangements. But remember, this is an introduction course. So we're going to keep things simple here. Now, I also programmed this bass. And now with the bass, you can start to feel that the song has become a little more interesting. again, we have only used the white keys, all right? No black keys whatsoever. That's why the key of C is so good for everybody to write songs in. Many people are scared of the black notes. However, I'm not, because we're going to go into playing the drums. I like to play the drums in one go. But for this pop thing, we just need something very simple. So let's do something very, very simple. Of course, in a pop structure, I would copy and repeat. And for the second time, the drums here on the first part would be having more going on. So we're gonna just add that in. The quantize is not really. So now we've dealt with the basis of chord progressions. Now we're going to look at ornamentation or background things that we can do. And one of the most common weapons in pop arsenal is a pad. Oops, wrong instrument. Pads. Pads are amazing. Pads can lift songs in different parts of the world. In my case, we're going to add a pad and the chorus. It's beautiful. So we're going to have a look at the blue part here. And we're going to play exactly the same chords, but without any rhythm. We're just going to cross-pollinate the area. So if we're coming from the B part, here we're talking about ornamentation, and ornamentation can go on forever and forever, but it also depends on what we're going to have for melody. And let's just put in a melody for fun. Sorry about my cough. Let's put in a nice little lead somewhere. Since we're writing pop, let's find a pop lead. And again, I've just been playing around on the white keys. So, this is just the first part, but I'm hoping this will guide you to start writing songs in the C major key. You don't need to be afraid of anything. And see you guys around. Take care. Enjoy.